Hi, my name is Summer Pila. I work at Waimea Elementary School on the Big Island. Been teaching for about 9 years, coming on 10 years. I've started out teaching special education preschool, and just I've always stayed in preschool. I decided to become a special education teacher because I had worked with children with special needs for about 10 years in a one-to-one sort of setting, paraprofessional, both like in their homes, in the community, and at school. I've always kind of worked with lower elementary and also like early intervention, 0 to 3 kids. So I really love that that lower age range there. So yeah, I had worked quite a few years in that setting, one-to-one, and then a teacher of mine that I was working in his classroom, he ended up teaching at UH Manoa along with his wife, and he really encouraged me to pursue going into teaching. So I did, with his good advice. And yep, about 9-10 years later, here I am, and I've always been in preschool. I love that age. I get excited. We get new kids throughout the year. We just got a new 3-year-old a couple weeks ago, so it always keeps it just fun and kind of exciting for me. So,
hi, my name's Natalia Sandoval, and I've been teaching special education for about 14 years, but I've been in the field for 20 plus years. Like Summer, I started off as a skills trainer. Back then is what we were called. And then eventually, got my degree in special education. Currently, I do teach preschool. This is my 5th year as a special education preschool teacher, and I absolutely love it. But prior to that, I just did resource from grades K through 5. And I also love that part of it too. I became a special education teacher because it's something that I knew I always wanted to do from a young age. I used to volunteer with the special education classroom back in elementary school. And it's always just been a passion of mine that I knew I wanted to pursue. There's really nothing else I'd rather do than teach special education. So I'm kind of stuck because I don't think anything else would make me happy. And that's it.
That's me. Hi, I'm Liz. I teach special education preschool. I've taught that same thing for 5 years, both here in Hawaii and also for 1 year in Virginia. Same as the other two. I love preschool so much. Those kids are so fun, and you just never know what they're going to say. Every day is completely different, and that's what makes it interesting. To be perfectly honest, I didn't have the same like always wanting to be in special education thing. I went to college undecided. I did a couple summers with summer camp, and I was like, oh, working with kids is fun. I'll become an ed major. And they were like, oh, we have this new fancy program where you can become dual licensed for general ed and special ed for early childhood. That makes you look good. I was like, okay, sign me up. And then during student teaching, I got assigned to an inclusion special education preschool classroom. And I was like, oh, okay, yep, this is where I belong. This is everything that I actually want to do. And it was funny, I was in the same school for my second placement in 3rd grade, and I would still go downstairs to the preschool class every day to see the kids because that's just where my heart was ever since then. So I think special education kind of just found me, and I love it so much.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Komoto. I teach at Hickam Elementary, and I do preschool special education. I've been teaching for around 9 years, and previously I used to do kindergarten and 1st grade, but I got moved to preschool special education because I did my student teaching in a preschool classroom, so they thought that I would have that knowledge. Why I'm a special education teacher is because I struggled in school myself. And so it was actually my mom who was saying, Kelsey, maybe you should think about being a special education teacher. You struggled, you could possibly empathize with your students. So of course I was like, okay, mom, I'll check it out. And come to find, like, I felt like, as I was learning about special education, I was learning how maybe I could have learned better in school. So that's where my passion comes from. I've been doing preschool and I love littles. That's always kind of where my heart has been. I think in special education preschool, it's just a lot of fun. You're free to be creative, and the kids are fun too.
So first question is, why preschool? So please share why you decided to pursue teaching special education at the preschool level.
I'll go ahead and start. And I think I shared a little bit of it in my introduction, but yeah, so basically I had just kind of worked with kids, like also from like in early interventions from 0 to 3. So I had that experience working with like toddlers and then kind of like lower elementary kindergartners. And it was actually one of my professors who she knew me prior to me enrolling in the program, but she goes, I think preschool would be a really good fit for you, Summer. And I was totally on board with it. So was able to do some of my student teaching practicum in a special ed preschool setting. And then, yeah, like once just kind of being in that classroom environment, I had, yeah, totally agreed. And then it's like up for, you can get certified in preschool, in that area, and just hope that you can get a job in the special ed preschool setting. But now, if you want a job, SPED preschool is a great place to be, because if you look at, the openings right now, there is a ton of special ed preschool positions open, but kind of going off on a tangent, but yeah, just kind of spending time in that classroom environment settings where I really decided I loved that age range.
The other thing that's fun about preschool is you kind of have a little bit more freedom than other grade levels and get kind of left to your own devices a little bit, so you kind of like the queen or king of your own kingdom in that sense, where you kind of come up with everything that you're going to do. And I really liked that when I was student teaching. Basically, my cooperating teacher was like me in the future, and we were just best friends, and all the thematic units she did were just so fun. And I just thought it was so fun that you could transform your classroom like into a prehistoric volcano dinosaur land. Like that's what we're doing right now. And, you can't do that in first grade. So preschool is the best. That's all there is to it.
I definitely agree. We're not held to the same stress of assessments. We are allowed to kind of have freedom in what we do. And also kind of like Summer, for me, why preschool? I had more experience with 0 to 3, kind of same as Summer. And then, like I said in my introduction, a student taught in a preschool special ed classroom. So it just kind of fit nicely in my school that I was hired at.
And then for me, I actually like working with the families. I like taking them through the process of eligibility and learning about their child and how to support them, not only, us in school, but them in the home, and just helping them through that transition of learning that they have a child with special needs, and then, how that can actually be more of a blessing for them, and building that connection and bond with them.
IEP goals. So how much time do you spend writing and implementing quality IEPs? What resources do you use to create meaningful IEP goals?
I think it's different for different students, but I want to say maybe the average time kind of depends, but maybe 30 minutes, I'm guessing. I don't know, they all blend together. But implementing a quality IEP, I mean, that's what we do throughout the day. So that's all the time. Resources, our district provides us Goalbook, which has a preschool component, but it's not based on the Hawaii early learning standards. But things like that help to kind of make my goals nice and well thought out.
I guess for writing, it just depends how fast of a writer you are. You know, that's going to be like pretty different for everyone. I'm kind of with Kelsey, where pretty much 30-ish minutes just kind of flows out. And then again, implementing is just the whole life that we live. As far as resources go, I would say the biggest one is just experience, because literally I guarantee every single person in here has written an IEP goal that they're going back and taking data for, and they're like, why did I do this? But just with time, you'll come to figure out like what makes more sense, what's easier to take data on, what's really practical for kids. But if you want to be technical, we have Teaching Strategies Gold, which also gives us a variety of options to support our IEP writing.
Yeah, so for me, yeah. Well, for me this year, actually all my annual IEPs were, I didn't have any all year until this week, and I have my whole class. So I felt rusty. So I was like, it took me a good solid hour to write that first one. And then I was like, oh, okay, now I remember how to do this. But yeah, implementation is a whole different story. That's what we do day in, day out, and then taking data on all those goals. And like Kelsey, we also have Goalbook. It's not perfect, but it is helpful. We can kind of use, what they kind of provide, and then adjust and modify the goal according to preschool. I mean, they do have a preschool component, like she said, but kind of just modify it to our standards.
And I echo what everyone said, as well as just, student data. So working with the kids, knowing your kids, family input, those are all resources that we can pull as well to help create the IEPs that, work for everyone.
What types of people do you collaborate with? How much time do you spend collaborating with others?
I'll go. So we collaborate with physical therapists, early intervention services, parents, speech therapists, occupational therapists. I've had to collaborate with vision impairment teachers for students who are blind, hearing impairment teachers, pretty much everybody. Also our administrator, community help, people out in the community. And I would say, not to mention service providers, like contracted providers, one-to-ones, our EAs, our PPTs. I mean, you name it, we collaborate. And pretty much it's all day long because we don't only have students in our class. Sometimes we have our EAs and other adults. And then it's our job to help facilitate and lead and direct them. So it's pretty much all the time.
Yeah, so like Natalia was saying, we do have all the service providers that we collaborate with. And that's kind of just an ongoing thing. It might be like a quick chat in the, after they're servicing the child, or could just be something a little bit more in depth if we need a little bit more information. So yeah, I would say it is quite a bit of time. It's a lot of collaboration and probably, and then also just being able to kind of relay a lot of that information back to like our EAs is something that is kind of important at our job, that sometimes when you go into teaching, people don't really realize, like it's a lot of, adult to adult, like you're supervising your EA as well, and kind of on the job training as you go. So, and kind of relaying a lot of that information and how best to work with the students.
All right, so the next question are the qualities of successful SPED teachers. So what do you do to run a highly effective SPED classroom? And how do you manage, or actually, sorry, how do you maintain productive collaboration?
Okay, I think what I would say is you kind of have to be flexible in a way. I don't think there is much room for being very type A. Like some people are very organized, but like at the end of the day, you never know what your day might look like. So you're just going to have to be able to think on your feet and keep a positive attitude and just kind of keep the trains moving, keep everything fun. Like you just have to have fun with it. Honestly, that's the best thing in special education. You just have to have fun with what you're doing.
I agree with Liz. You have to be flexible, creative. You have to be willing to be silly with the kids, not take yourself so seriously all the time. Make sure, we want to work on their goals and objectives, but we also want to make sure that they are having fun while they're doing it and they're learning. And then in terms of maintaining productive collaboration, I think it's important to always communicate and be respectful, be open to continuous learning, not thinking that, you don't have anything to gain from someone else. I've been doing this for 20 years and every day I learn something new, and, appreciate those that are supporting you, because everyone coming together and working together actually makes our job as special education teachers that much easier. And having just a pleasant environment for the kids is what's important.
Yeah, I love that, Natalia, just having that pleasant environment. I think it's important to have that like nurturing environment in the SPED preschool. It's the students' first experience in school. So it's like the foundation you're going to give them and how their kind of outlook on school. So just having kind of that nurturing personality, patience is like, we have to have it. There's no like every teacher, but especially a SPED preschool teacher, and flexibility. And I've kind of learned over the years, and it varies. Our classrooms vary so much year to year, month to month, even like depending on the type of kids that we get. And just having kind of like a structured environment, especially for some of our kiddos on the spectrum, and just giving them like a predictable, routine of their day really helps them function well. And then, yeah, just maintaining productive collaborations. I think communication is just so key. A lot of times, you may not agree with some of the service providers, but you got it. Even if you're, I kind of started out as a non-confrontational sort of person, but you have to kind of just communicate and kind of get past anything that's going on to maintain productive collaborations for the best of the kids. So
just to echo what everyone's saying, but it's kind of funny to think you need to be consistent, but also flexible. But that's how, our kids thrive. They need a predictable schedule, but yet, if a child is having a hard day, it's okay if they need to do something else. But it also gives you room to be creative. So you need to think of, how can I get this child, to calm down? How can I get them to be engaged in the lesson? I feel like being a special education teacher is having a big toolbox, and you're constantly pulling out different tools. And like Summer said, it changes, yearly, it can change monthly, it can change weekly of what's going to work and what's not going to work. But just having all those tools really help.
Who do you go to for guidance?
For myself, other special education teachers, other preschool special education teachers like Liz and I have known each other for years, and we just try to get together with or create resources and pool with other special education teachers where we're sharing things with each other for support. So for me, it's my colleagues, and then of course, the internet. You can always stand to learn more and research and read more again. And then parents, I think they're a great source of information for their kids. if we, especially when we notice that something's different or maybe the students are off, it's always the best thing to ask the parents first if there's been a change at home. So yeah, I would say my fellow teachers, parents, and then just researching on my own as well.
Yeah, I agree. It just kind of depends on the situation, but definitely going to, yeah, your fellow SPED teachers, you know, department head. My SSE is kind of a wealth of knowledge that if anything kind of comes up, I can bounce ideas and get some guidance from her. And then ultimately, if it's like a decision-making thing, just talking to my admin and getting some guidance there as well.
I would agree with all of the above, you know, just keep all your friends in special education close. I would even say like you'll have trainings at the beginning of your whole journey with special education. Like go have lunch with people. Like you might still be friends with them. It's good to know people at other schools so you can always get information from other places. And yes, I text Natalia all the time. So just having people in your corner is really helpful in special education for sure. Your colleagues will become just like your rocks.
Totally agree with everyone. It's really important, I think, especially in special education, to have good relationships with other people, not just special educators, but you know, general ed teachers, SSC. You never know what someone has a background in, so it's good to have good relationships that you can depend on or lean on when you need to.